Tonight at 5. Are your children out doing fist? The real danger is fist. Ballin' out, ballin' out, ballin' out.
Super! Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Ballin' Out
Super!
I'm your host, Jeremy Hammond, and joining me as always are my co-hosts, Katie Rose Leon.
So good to have spicy mouth and be blinded in the anime room.
And Alex Patak.
And I'm Katie Rose Leon.
I hear she's America's sweetheart.
She's America's sweetheart.
And our guest this week from the Chapo Trap House podcast is Will Menaker.
Wonderful to be here. I'm assessing all of your power levels as I speak.
How's it looking?
Higher than I even thought possible. I've been training in double G all week, and I finally realized that my power level will not be sufficient to win this fight.
We're going to have to ask that you stop assessing our power levels because there's been a product defect with those glasses, and they actually just explode over your eyes.
Ow!
I did not give you consent to assess my power level.
How you doing today, Will?
I'm doing great.
Yeah,
thanks for having me on. Yeah,
thanks for coming. You didn't have to, but you did.
my pleasure. I love to talk balls.
We're really cementing ourselves now into the Chapo-verse, I feel.
That's true, and we'll never get Matt on, so we just have to really enjoy.
No, you should definitely get him on. That would be a great episode.
I don't want to be yelled at.
I feel like it would be the opposite of the Mike Racine episode.
What the fuck should you make me watch this?
Okay, so Will, we like to start the podcast by talking to our guest about your experience with Dragon Ball and anime more broadly.
Yeah.
Were you ever a fan of Dragon Ball?
I was, and actually, my friend Emma Bowers, who I think you guys know,
She does wonderful animal reviews.
Yeah,
We're a big fan.
I mean, she has great animal videos. She works with animals and is an amazing cosplayer. Her and Jake Flores put me on to you guys, so I'm happy to come on the show. But Emma told me that like a common story that's told on this show is I indeed did watch it on TV when I was a kid, but I had the experience of like having the whatever channel it was on. Like I would watch it on Saturdays or Sundays, and like in this, the serialized storytelling, it's like next time will Goku get to the end of Snake's Way, and then like they didn't have the rights for a number of episodes, so they just restarted the saga over and over again, and it was this horrible like Mobius strip of serialized television where I was never really sure where I was or if I would ever get to the end of it.
Yeah.
And it was all very confusing and just totally perplexing, but at the same time, instantly addictive and interesting.
It's called hooking an audience, and podcasts should pick it up. You listen for 3 months, and then it goes back and plays those episodes again.
Yeah, and I was the first season of Dragon Ball Z. That was the one I was watching, like, where the Saiyans come to Earth for the first time. They all have to fight them, and Goku dies. And he has to train with King Kai. I don't think I ever saw him get to King Kai, and I'm rewatching it now. In my 30s, God help me, trying to fill in the gaps in my childhood and prepare for your guys' show
For research.
for research purposes, and not at all my stunted emotional development.
Oh, me and Jeremy go off often how we're just emotionally Benjamin Buttoning. It's like with every adult landmark, we have to take 2 steps back. Jeremy's like, sweet, I got engaged. Better make more podcasts about niche interests.
Yeah, literally, I was 2 weeks ago now. I went to California and I got engaged, and on that same trip, I bought this lovely Goku blanket.
I did want to take some time at the beginning of the show to issue my first, last, and only apology for mispronouncing people's names on Chapo Trap House.
Goodness.
2 episodes ago, I referred to the great Prince Vegeta as Vegeta. And believe you me, the Reddit was abuzz with that one. So, yes, I would like to formally apologize to Prince Vegeta. It's just
from the planet
Vegeta sounded too much like vagina, and I just didn't think I could go there.
That can't be it.
I was like, it can't be it. Vegeta, yeah.
From this classy program. You know who would really hate you mispronouncing Vegeta's name is Vegeta, and we have not had him on the show.
We keep calling him Vegeta. Get on the pod.
Come on the pod, would ya?
Well, he's a prickly guy, a little bit testy. So, like I said, to prepare for it, I've been rewatching the first season,
which is very flattering because literally nobody's ever done that.
Like I said, this is one hand washes the other. I'm emotionally regressing. You gave me the excuse. So we
Happy
all.
to help enable you.
Yeah, I did. I watched one just last night that I actually do remember seeing as a kid, where Vegeta and the other big guy, who's him,
Nappa.
His live-in roommate, Nappa.
Vegeta and Nappa, they're on their way to Earth, and they just decide to take a break and go to this random planet that's like a Bugman battle world.
Yeah,
and
just to kill.
And they allow themselves to be captured, and then they defeat this cruel tyrant that's like, enslaved this entire planet, and then like the good people are like, thank you, you will always be a hero to us. And then they leave, and then Vegeta's just like, one more thing, and then just like and it vaporizes the entire planet. Global genocide.
Oh, he's so funny.
Yeah.
He's such a fun character back then.
Also, you know what's crazy about that is you don't know who he is yet, so they're just doing a whole episode about like some other people you haven't met are killing Bugmen.
You barely know what a Saiyan is yet. You've just seen Raditz die, and he sends out the distress beacon, and then you see Vegeta and Nappa, and they're like, "Oh, what's this? Let's go check it out. Oh, and let's genocide on our way, just for fun."
I think that's what kind of like what I responded to about the show as a kid, because it had the serialized cartoon thing of American like adventure cartoons or thing, but there's all of this weird stuff that was like very against type, like the fact that they would just introduce this plot line, and then like, there was even like the revolutionary guy who they freed from the dungeon, like his princess was stolen away, and they like hug, and they're like, finally we're together at last, and then it's just like flash.
Anime has the same dramatic pacing as like the recut Arrested Development. Where stuff just like picks up and ends, and you're like, I don't know how I felt about that.
Yeah, that is like the crazy thing about the erratic pacing of the show is so odd and interesting, but it definitely keeps you watching, because there are just whole episodes of just exposition, and this whole narrative thing like where Goku has to get to the end of Snake Way.
Yeah.
And there'd just be episodes where like checking in with him. Yep, still running.
Still running.
Nothing's changed there.
Running down that snake.
Yeah.
He doesn't know when it'll end, and we don't know when it'll end.
I almost feel like it's antagonistic, because like when you invest so much time in something, you're like, I just have to see how it ends.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was the feeling of watching it, where they would just restart the whole saga that was just torturous.
It would be stupid if you just watched a man run on a snake for no reason, wouldn't it? We'll see you next week. Fucking idiot kids.
So what about anime kind of more broadly? Did you ever get into other animes aside from Dragon Ball?
I mean, yes, I have had sex, but no, the answer to your
The
question
same
is
question.
no, yeah, definitely. I got Akira and Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah.
Seeing those movies as a kid like blew me away. And then,
All the bangers.
yeah,
By the way, and then brief tangent, I rewatched Akira after your fucking engagement party last weekend, thinking, now I'm an adult, I'll know what the plot is.
Nope.
And there isn't one. It doesn't make any sense. I've been waiting so long.
They tried to condense like 12 volumes of a book into a movie.
No, it's so much of it is just his weird pickly arm that grows things and gets the most screen time.
yeah, but that like profoundly disturbed me as a kid.
Oh,
and the
yeah.
movie really
It's
stuck
visually
with me.
compelling.
It's visually compelling,
Well,
and it's like
The animation in that movie is like still not, like I don't think I've seen an animated movie as good as that.
Yeah.
Even since then.
And there's just so much random shit. Like, it opens on, like, a bike fight and then a rape, and then it's like, now some science fiction for a half hour, and then laser fights. Enjoy our film.
One of those floating old babies looks exactly like Louis Anderson.
Yes, yes. What does that mean? What does it mean?
But they also never really explained those floating old babies, right? They never.
they were the people who were like tested on with the Akira thing.
Yeah,
like
first.
projects.
They were the Akira project,
Right, but, like, what are they doing
They were
there?
former test subjects who they all aged rapidly. They have sort of like progeria or
Yeah,
something. But
but
they have nice suits as well.
I love that someone has read the books and is listening to this podcast right now. Like, you fucking idiots! The
You
babies
fools.
are all the whole thing.
It's like in the Robin Williams movie, Jack. They're just like Jack. Yeah, so we're watching Akira, we're watching Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah.
Other series at all?
Like probably not so like later. It was always hard to sort of find where to watch them before the internet.
Yeah.
You know? So I was probably like older before I got into Neon Genesis Evangelion and like I'm pretty much an anime dork. Like I'm sort of a Cowboy Bebop. Cowboy Bebop. That's a huge gateway drug. Like that to me is still the goat.
Number one anime boyfriend, Spike Spiegel.
Yeah. Still top of the charts
number
all these
one.
years later.
Baby, nothing like the classics.
You know what it is?
Best finale to like almost any TV series ever.
Oh, yeah.
Cowboy Bebop. The end of that show is incredible. So yeah, like it's progressed and matured as I regress and
Your fine taste.
get dumber as I get older.
Were you like an open anime person, or were you like, in secret, I'll enjoy this once or twice?
I was like,
I dabble.
I wasn't like, I wasn't like going to cons or anything, but I wasn't like hiding it either. We all watched. My friends watched Dragon Ball Z. Or, like,
Let's legalize it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I think the other
Legalize
the other funny thing especially about Dragon Ball Z and like the sort of renaissance through the internet is really, I think what piqued my interest again in Dragon Ball Z was all the hilarious black Twitter memes made about Dragon Ball Z.
Yes.
Like that is a huge part of like reintroducing Dragon Ball Z to American culture later
definitely.
in life.
Yeah.
Didn't I just see something where it was like they did like some sort of projected like town square event in Mexico to play like the latest episode of this and like 30,000 people came to it.
I think it was the series finale. Yeah.
Wow. So yeah, a global phenomenon, Dragon Ball Z. Like
Yeah, that's right, you fucking... Was that Volcel weirdos? Like, it's not niche.
Incel
It's
would be
like...
You have nothing. Nothing.
It's the most popular show on the planet. Like,
Goku is Volcel for sure.
Yes.
Krillin is incel.
There was an episode
the-
recently
Okay,
where he
okay.
didn't know what kissing was, so this is text. It's Dragon
this
Ball
is now
text.
part of the Ballin' Out canon.
canon.
Goku is definitely Volcel.
Our fans have corrected me because I thought it was just that he doesn't kiss bitches as a rule, but that wasn't it.
No, it's that he doesn't know what kissing is because
'cause
he's saving
no
his
one
cum
backs
to
me up
turn
on
into
that.
beams.
Yeah, exactly.
so many questions about Chi-Chi.
I think it's a turkey baster situation.
Baster?
Yeah.
And then she just
She-
gets that sweet Piccolo D
Yeah, she gets
on
the
the
she gets
side.
the piccolo dick
That's stretchy,
when she can.
That's stretchy dick.
Well, let's be honest. Well, he can like duplicate
Yeah.
himself as well.
It's very
Yeah.
useful.
he can do that just with his dick.
He
Yeah,
can
it's like
rip
that
his
part
dick
of
off and
Yeah.
regrow it.
Yeah, and
That juice shoots out.
Well, yeah. In addition to being Volcel, also Piccolo, way better father figure to Gohan than
Oh,
Goku,
100%.
dumbass.
Yes.
Goku is like the dad that wants to be your friend and basically has the psychology of a 7-year-old boy throughout the entire show.
And he's high all the time.
Yeah.
oh yeah, it is well established that Piccolo is literally the only good dad on this show.
He has values and cares about Chi-Chi.
And he's everyone's dad too. He's not just Gohan. Like he raises Goten too. And now later in the series, if you ever end up watching Super, you'll see that he's raising Gohan's kid too.
Wow. Oh my God.
He's like a step away from like a community organizer they know.
Yeah, Piccolo has an MSW.
He's like,
Where'd you
I'm
guys
starting a Head Start program for all these Saiyan kids in the neighborhood. Their dads are never around. They're always away fighting in wars.
They're out popping beans. I also love the idea of being like, where'd you meet your babysitter? An evil being spat him into a mountain.
Oh wow, spat him into a mountain. I gotta look that up.
I'll check mountain. Let's look into mountain.
All right, Katie, what do you say we get into the episode?
Okie dokie.
Ooh, it's a good one. Hey everybody, KRL here, and I'm back again to give you some exciting life updates. I love vaping now! I can't help, I want to do it all the time. I want to blow huge clouds. Anyway, I just wanted to say I love huge clouds, and you should buy a t-shirt if you like the show. Go check it out. The link below, and then go to the vaping championships, and let's go already.
The title of this episode it is. Don't you disgrace Saiyan cells. Vegeta's fierce battle commences. Another weirdly supremacist title, but
Yeah. Well, it's a big Vegeta episode, and he has some ideas he'd like to share with you. He just doesn't think the West is talked about enough on this show.
You see, Kakarot, there's only 2 types of person. Human and Saiyan. Nothing else.
That's a great impression, by the way.
Thank you.
we watched.
I've been honing it for 63 episodes.
We've been working on it a little bit.
I will destroy this debate, Kakarot. Dragon Ball energy. I mean, this is like Kanye and Jordan Peterson and Trump. I mean,
Trump has Dragon Ball energy.
have you ever, but speaking of the dork web, have you ever seen those videos of Jordan Peterson just like describing Pinocchio?
No.
I will say I've listened to every episode of your show, and my entire exposure of Jordan Peterson is just stuff you tell me through my phone.
It's worth looking. It's part of these like academic lectures he does that supposedly espouses his theories about mythology and meaning and Christ knows what else. But he just plays Pinocchio and he'll just narrate what's happening and he'll be like, as you see here, they're turning into donkeys, future totalitarians, all of them. So Peterson is really into dragon energy and chaos energy. I think people need to put. He's like talked endlessly about like Frozen and Sleeping Beauty and myths and everything. We need to show him the real uncut, crazy dragon energy shit. Just see if he can make any sense out of it.
I think it's only fair to do both sides and get him on the show.
Yeah,
You know, I think if we paid him like $10,000, we could do it.
Come on the pod.
What are you afraid of?
the call for debate is open.
And I'm imagining any situation where this happens and how uncomfortable we are for a full 2 hours.
In 1 year's time, the most logical being will arrive at Earth. Jordan Peterson has till then to learn how to debate.
How many quotes did you get down, Katie? Because I feel like this episode
I wrote most
chock full of wisdom.
I wrote a lot of them. I missed some of the poetry, so I'll get into it. It starts with up in the sky, our most problematic character. We were hoping he wouldn't show up again, but they're like, don't worry, Mr. Popo is still here. And then Vegeta.
I still think it would be so funny if they went to show Mr. Popo and it was just a normal black guy, and they were like, "We've changed."
I know we've bought ourselves a lot of goodwill with the black community, so just in case, here's Mr. Popo.
He's like handsome now.
He looks like handsome Squidward.
And then Vegeta blows up the time chamber because you know what? Once he's in there, you can't have it.
Yeah.
Which is, they glossed over this because this seems like a huge
This seems
event.
like a big deal.
This is like when they blew up the moon. This is just like when they blew up the moon. It's just 10 seconds, the time chamber's there, you've used it for episodes and episodes on the show, and then another second it's gone because Vegeta was mad or whatever.
Or he just felt so pumped. That was the impression I got, was it was more of a like
He left and then blew it up from the outside for fun.
yeah.
And Goku leaves the island after practicing throwing that turtle in the sun. You know, we're just setting up that our boys are going on a journey.
Yeah.
And then cut to the soft focus future. It is so sensual as Trunks wakes up from his daze and he is informed he's been given a bean. And we think it's Mai, and all of a sudden it focuses in and it's, what's his face? Yajirobi?
Yajirobi.
Yeah, and
He's in a CIA black site.
and the thing occurs, there's this hotel that I stayed at once when I was touring in like Boise, Idaho, and all the ads were saying, oh man, the sheets are so clean. And like the first time you see that ad, you're like, cool. But then like the third time, you're like, what's wrong with these sheets?
Yeah.
Why
What
do you
have
keep
people been saying about the sheets?
So like the fact that they like Trunks is like, did you spit that bean in my mouth? And Yajirobi's like, no. And then these children come up and he's like, these children ground up the beans and gave them to you. He's like, oh, cool. And like they kept bringing up 3 times. They're like, did
Yeah.
you baby bird this bean in my mouth?
Yeah, they're like, we ground up the bean for you. It's like, how? With what?
Did any of you kiss me?
What is up with this like this alternate future though? Is it sort of like post-apocalyptic or?
So I don't think you got there in your Dragon Ball watching. Trunks is from a future that is destroyed by evil androids, and he comes back in Dragon Ball Z and fights with them, and then goes back to the future and saves it. And now, same timeline, this guy is then troubled by this evil Goku who kills everybody in the world for no reason, and there's a resistance effort to shoot him with a gun, which will never work.
Speaking of which, meanwhile, on the slope, Zamasu and Black drink tea and scoff romantically in their eagle's nest. And all unbeknownst to them, Mai and her SWAT team are setting up a snipe outside to shoot him again, which never worked.
Yeah.
Right. Well, it did work that one time. There was an episode in Dragon Ball Super where Frieza's henchman shot normal Goku and he just died. And then we had to keep moving on with the show knowing that unravels everything you know about it. So I guess it's possible, but...
Well, and you know this too because you are rewatching Dragon Ball Z right now. You're only in the first couple episodes. In the first episode, when Raditz comes down from space and he sees the farmer, the first thing the farmer does is shoot him with a gun and the bullets bounce off of him.
Yeah.
We
What the
know.
fuck?
It's literally the first thing they established on this show is bullets don't work.
This will never come up again. Guns do not work.
So she gets a nice clear head shot, if you were playing CS, all your friends would applaud
Yeah.
for that clean shot. But you know what? It does literally nothing.
Doesn't it bounce off his
Yeah.
earring? Is that supposed to be what happened?
I don't know.
I'm not sure. I thought she was aiming for the earring, and I thought that was going to be a thing we were about to learn. That
It
like,
was
the
he had a
earring is the
Bible in his
source.
pocket. It kept him from harm.
So I told you this. So it's Dark Goku and a guy who looks like Piccolo's sexy twink or something.
He's like
kid or something.
He's like Piccolo, but he's also like not Daft Punk. Who am I thinking of? Girl Talk?
Skrillex?
Skrillex.
Yeah.
I can never remember the word for Skrillex, but he looks like him.
So it's Dark Goku and
Yes.
and he's having like drinks or something on the veranda of this
Yeah,
nice
talking about Operation Zero
this-
Mortals.
of this nice cabin, and
Yes.
they're setting, and the Resistance is setting up a snipe on them.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And so Trunks, they go to blast whoever hit them. They just like blast in the woods, and Trunks jumps in front of it, and they don't really notice who it is, so they just keep talking some more. And Zamasu says some beautiful poetry.
Yes.
He says so much this episode.
There's a lot of poetry in this.
He's an artist.
The best line didn't happen this. So then like Trunks shows up and they're all fighting. It's fisties and punchies, kickies all around.
Really
Yeah.
good ones.
Really good fisties.
Beam sword versus Rego sword. That
Yeah.
was pretty cool.
I feel like the sword fight was sort of a metaphor for the struggle of the working man against automation.
Yes, sure.
Yeah.
That
yeah,
could be
and
it.
then that's why he shouts, "The real danger is my fist." And then
It all ties together.
more punchies. Just taking it back into his own hands. Fisties and punchies. And then Zamasu's like, doesn't matter how jizzed up you are, you're just a pawn in my plan, baby. And, Trunks grabs him, and he's gonna try and do some nuki kamikaze shit, but then Black penetrates him with his pink sword.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and we're glossing over it, but Trunks does a Gallic gun real quick, so
Ooh, yeah.
as just like a wink to the fans,
Yeah.
just being like, "This is Vegeta's move, but Trunks is doing it. Keep watching."
And then we get some Frieza style poetry where the time machine shows up, and then Goku Black's like, the third act begins. The curtain rises, and all the stage is a play, and you're merely the actors in my play.
Which, have you ever been to a play with 2 intermissions?
Oh, I would leave.
Yeah, no.
Wait, I think I did. It was Philip Seymour Hoffman in Othello, the 4-hour version of Othello.
Did
That's
he play
like
Othello?
him in front of TVs. No, he played Iago.
Someone tried to bring me to
That would have been offensive.
Pretty bad.
But he's an amazing actor, and I think he could pull it off. Yeah.
I remember him watching the audience leave, looking like he was going to cry.
But yeah, so they show up on the scene, and then Black immediately blows up their time machine.
They blow it up, and then Vegeta just talks mad shit. But it turns out that Goku left the jar in the time machine.
Yeah.
He can't do anything right. It's so funny.
So, Will, for your perspective, we had just watched him practice this technique where he's going to kind of Ghostbusters the guys into this jar.
Okay.
And that's the plan.
Right.
Because they can't beat him with fist.
Okay.
They have to use jar.
So he spent a couple episodes training to do that, and then just left the jar in the thing that got blown up.
And it got blown up immediately.
Classic Goku.
Yeah.
Classic.
Yeah, and then while Vegeta and Goku have a lover's quarrel about who left the pot where and who shat on it, Zamasu is monologuing, and he literally says something about along the lines of like, "I love the sound of my voice so much it doesn't matter."
It doesn't
Yeah.
matter if anyone's listening. I'm
Yeah.
talking for art now.
Which really just cements my theory that this whole thing is just this dead ringers, I want to fuck my brother or myself bullshit.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Right.
It totally is.
Because Zamasu and Goku Black are the same guy.
From other dimensions.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's confusing so that you have
They're
to
both
like
voiced by Jeremy Irons.
No, they're voiced by the guy from, what was it, Buffy?
Yeah, I mean, unofficially. What's
He
his
doesn't
name?
want us to know that.
I don't know his name because I didn't watch Buffy, and that's why women won't date me. But oh yeah, and then Gosu shows up and he's like, "I'm here too," and he's like, "Hey Zamasu."
Okay, that's when it got really out of pocket for me. When it seemed like different versions of the same two bad characters also show up in the middle of this classic sort of 2-1-2 stare down. What's this over to the side? It's different versions of the people who are all being stared down, who are also the same as others in different time. I don't know. Like, that's when I was really like,
It's a lot.
what?
They also had the funniest moment of the episode, in my opinion, which is Goasu gives a long speech at the bad guy. He's talking to Zamasu, and he's like, "I don't know how you could betray me. After all these years, I trained you." And Vegeta goes, "Actually, the other one was the one who killed you." And he goes, "Oh," and then turns 2 inches to his left and says the same line again, like you're in a Monty Python sketch or something. And then they go right into fighting again, and there's no more talking, which is good.
And it's a great fight.
Actually, there's talking in the fighting, which is the best kind.
But Vegeta absolutely rinses Dark Goku.
He does.
He fucking just
hangs
washes
him
him easily.
It was fucking sick.
It was really good, man.
It was
a lot
real
of good
opposite
fights.
day.
My notes literally wrote Vegeta and Rose fight, and it rules.
His like arms just become blue like flames or whatever after a while because he's punching him so good, and he's
it's
like
so
telling him to read
good.
different books while he does it. It's fantastic.
The only piece of information that's kind of important that came out during this is we find out that Whis is an angel. They literally call him that, which I already knew that.
Yeah, I was gonna say we already knew.
He's
I
an
don't.
angel to
I don't
me.
think it's like important though, because they've already established this whole other system of God. So an angel clearly is just like a word that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah,
That
And
is
you're just interpreting
that is what
it.
another thing I really love about Dragon Ball Z is like the weird ways in which like concepts from like Western culture are like filtered back through the imagination. So like I love like the conception of the afterlife and like heaven and hell in Dragon Ball Z is really funny.
I also just love an anime in general when it like recycles Western like kind of Christian ideas through the lens of anime. Like there's a lot of like vampire hunting shows where there's like, I'm a priest and my cross is a gun.
yeah.
Oh man, I would fucking love if Jesus ends up in the last episodes of the show.
And
He's just like also part of it.
yo, he goes super fucking Saiyan at the end there. Yeah. No, but like one of the ones I just watched, Goku falls off Snake Way and ends up in hell.
Yes.
And there are these two like giant ogres just wearing T-shirts that say hell. And, and like their representation of hell is like they're like souls that are represented by these like they're like little clouds going around. But hell is essentially just an amusement park, and there's like a Ferris wheel and like a little like paddle boats and shit like that. They were like, "Oh, we'll beat you by the fountain of blood for shuffleboard."
Fun piece of trivia for you. In the original run of the Toonami dub, because it was a daytime show for kids, they couldn't say hell. So their shirts were altered to say HFIL. And then they would make them call it the Home for Infinite Losers.
Oh, fuck, I
Oh, my
remember
God.
this.
Hiffle, the Home for Infinite Losers.
I think I remember that.
And the
Holy
best
shit.
part is that, like, you have to jam it into a place where the dub says hell. So they'd have to, like, loop the person a couple of times to make them do enough, like, mouth movements to say Home for Infinite Loser.
That's
or like a King Yama, which is like the St. Peter figure.
Yeah.
He's like this guy who like meets everyone going into the afterlife, but he's just this like giant accountant with horns or
Yeah.
something with a big beard. He's like
He looks like Hellboy.
Yeah.
He looks like Hellboy's dad.
I'm just imagining that the Home for Infinite Losers is like just Trump's hell. The losers, they lose forever. They wait in line for the machine. There's no speed pass.
That's eventually going to happen. He's going to see some Dragon Ball Twitter memes, and he's going to start shit posting about like how the Washington Post are going to the Home for Infinite Losers.
something, my dating life, something, home for infinite losers.
Oh, hell yeah, Katie.
Nice. All right.
I filled in the blanks. It was funny.
I'm that good, baby. It's about the jokes I don't tell. Okay.
Like jazz, that
what
cowboy
happens?
bebop music.
So, yeah, there's more fighties, and the Kais follow.
To be specific, there's a shot between the
That was
fighting
my favorite. That
where
was my
they
favorite
just
moment.
show the Kais who haven't been doing anything for 5 minutes, and they go, "Oh, we should go over there."
And then they just float. They're just like, whoop, up.
And we don't check in on them again.
No.
We didn't need them to be there.
They're somewhere safe.
And I love it. It's also that like really cheap style of animation where they just like the figures are static, just moving across. The
Yeah, it's like the Poochie going back to his home planet.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Bulma brought an entire garage with her in a capsule. Trunks shows up. He's like, hey, never mind that hole in my chest. I'm fine. And she's like, cool. Can you super glue this vase back together? And he's like, seems like a waste of my talents.
Real mom shit. Real mom shit for Mother's Day. Glue this vase back together.
And then we go back to the Vegeta and Goku Black fight, and like dramatic opera starts playing. It's like, oh, oh, oh. And then Vegeta gives a lecture about Saiyan pride.
It's kind of sick, though. I know, like, usually we get turned off by when they talk about, like, Saiyan pride.
No,
It
this
always-
rules.
Race science.
Yeah,
something
it always
to
feels like
it.
race science.
Race science, yeah. So Dark Goku is like an entity that's stolen Goku's body from another dimension.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
And Vegeta's just going off about how he has like an extra tendon in his ankle while he's
no, but he's saying like you stole this body.
Meanwhile, like, pounding the shit out of him,
Yeah.
pushing him through, like, multiple layers of earth downward.
Yeah. Your dad never.
You haven't earned those divots in your skull!
He's like, your dad never pushed you down the stairs.
Oh, you know what also would have been fun is when Zamasu steals Goku's body, he also becomes like kind of retarded. Just like it's like a body damage thing by this point.
And then there's, like, a quick little ending bit where he does, like, a, who are you? And he's like, we're Star Fox, you know?
He goes, I'm the almighty Prince Vegeta.
And then
Yeah,
the
he says
credits
it just
roll.
like that. He says it just like
Said
that.
it just like that.
Here I am.
All right, let's rate the episode, do an email, and get out of here.
Hell yeah.
All right, Alex, out of 7 Dragon Balls.
Wow, surprise, surprise, 7 full Dragon
Yeah,
Balls.
me
They
too,
were not
yeah.
fucking around this time.
Katie?
7 balls,
7
baby.
Dragon
I
Balls.
can't
Will.
believe it.
7 out of 7 Dragon Balls.
Jesus
Perfect
Christ.
score.
Woo.
Well, you know what that means. It's time to summon Shenron.
All right, Shenron.
It's me, KGB collaborator Shenron. I heard there might be some descendants of some people I know. Does anybody have any wishes?
Seems weird you just come out with that out the gate, Shenron.
Yeah, this is
Every show, different Shenron. Keep tuning back in.
well, Oh, well, so usually out of politeness, we like to let our guests have all the wishes. So you get 4 wishes.
Das Vidal.
I will use I will use my wish to plug. I would like to wish that the upcoming Chapo Trap House book, The Chapo Trap Guide to Revolution, hits the New York Times bestseller list. Would you believe it? There is a manga section in the book.
Ooh.
Wow, I grant your plug.
All right, wish number 2.
Wish number. Oh God, I gotta. Well, after the book, probably just health, happiness, and success to all of humanity.
Yeah, each one of those can count separately.
Okay. Yeah, we don't have to.
Duh or yes. Well, that's it for me again.
Bye, Shenron.
Wow. I missed him again. Never here for Shenron.
Alex, every time I invite you and Shenron to one of my dinner parties, you never are in the room at the same time.
I've been going to the hospital a lot, and I told you that.
Let's do an email.
Yay!
It's time for Dragon Mail. Give me some of that Dragon Mail.
It's time for Dragon Mail, weebs.
This is by Heck Ariza. Yo, love your show. Shout out to Leslie Lee 3 for putting your bump at the end of an episode of Struggle Session. Oh, hell yeah. That shit was ridiculous. Okay. Went back to the episodes where Captain Ginyu shows up and started from there. Anyways, you guys asked about a few episodes back where Funimation HQ is because of the translation scene where Trunks tells the cops Goku isn't black.
Yes, this is Will. This is.
Oh, I saw a clip of that on Twitter. Yeah, it was very funny.
It's located in Flower Mound, Texas, a Dallas suburb. I'm pretty sure they didn't adapt the scene to be less spicy because a lot of weebs get mad when translators change what they perceive to be the original true translations despite perfect translations being a myth. They probably thought it would get a laugh out of some people as well. Haha. Also, since Texas is a right-to-work state, almost all of their dubs are non-union. That's why you hear the same voice actors in a lot of anime. They also don't necessarily have the 4-hour limitation that union gigs do. A lot of these people are pulling double duty working on other aspects of voice direction as well. This is why Steve Bloom doesn't do anime anymore. He stated on a podcast once that he had paid more for one episode of Wolverine and the X-Men than he did for all of Cowboy Bebop.
Wow.
Even the few union anime dubs pay less than Western animation does. Thanks for reading my email. You're all doing great. P.S. The guy that said the show doesn't get good until around episode 90 is pretty spot on. Fuck. I don't want to spoil how the Goku Black arc ends, but I'm pretty sure you'll react to it the same way I did. By loving it? Like we did today? Okay. Thanks for writing in. This is only built on our theory of labor suppression at Funimation.
Are we contributing to oppression right now via podcast?
This is something that
Welcome to the club. High five.
It is something I've been thinking a lot about, and I tried to do some research into it, and it is like remarkably hard to find information about like union labor in anime dubbing. So
You're gonna get the
Oh my
Department of
God.
Homeland Security showing up at your house next. Stop looking into Funimation.
well, what I was gonna say though is
The
that
anime Pinkertons are going to show up to you. and,
Needs to be more bodies on the line.
the guy who's voicing Zamasu, everyone is saying is that guy from Buffy, and that he is doing it under a pseudonym so that he can avoid like the union finding out about it.
really?
Oh, that
Wow.
makes sense.
So we're putting him on blast.
Kind of, yeah. I'm not really totally sure where he falls into like the spectrum of like class traitor to like is
He just
like a
wants the
scab?
right
Like, what
to
is he?
work.
Maybe he's just a real big Z-head.
That has to be it, because it sounds like they're not paying him anything. Either that or he has like a crack addiction or something.
Well, that's what I heard is that he's a big Z fan, but like
I love the idea of like do this anime dub under a pseudonym for the exposure.
I don't know. If anybody has any information that they could send our way, I'd love to read more about this to figure out if our Dragon Ball podcast should be boycotting Dragon Ball.
I would imagine the conditions that these shows are animated under are probably pretty brutal.
Oh no,
as
that's
well.
a whole nother.
Yeah.
That's a can of worms we can't even open.
They're in the home for infinite losers.
Yeah. No, it's like the old Simpsons gag when they're doing like the Itchy and Scratchy movie, and they're like, he's Kent Brockner's like, I'm here in Korea where Itchy and Scratchy is animated, and it's just like these guys being poked with bayonets.
We have one more email to do, and I wanted to push it to the top because it is Alex's brother.
Ooh, yes. He told me to just call him Chris from L.A. In parentheses, Alex's brother. Oh, it's funny to me. All right, anyway. Hello, all. Long time, first time. My favorite character is Dodoria because I also have one handsome friend. Anyways, here are some fan questions to ponder. I heard you were having Will Menaker on, so the first one is for him. Among the participants in the interdimensional tournament, which fighter has the best pros? Personally, I say the robot. Now, knowing Will has not seen this thing we're talking about... Do you want to just name someone in general whose pros you adore?
Cormac McCarthy.
Yes.
He did very well in the tournament.
Who's the guy with the third eye?
Tien.
Tien.
Yes.
Yeah, he's pretty cool. He's like he's sort of like a stoic, you know.
I wish he was around more because underrated boyfriend watch competitor.
Yeah.
If you were like actually dating him, though, I bet the third eye after a while would be like, it's looking at me.
Who's the guy? Better boyfriend material, maybe the sort of bad boy who's got sort of the scar face and he's a baseball player.
Oh,
Yamcha.
Yamcha. Number one.
Yeah.
There are more questions in here for Will, so I just want to go through them.
Okay.
Is Tien Volcel or Incel?
Volcel, 100%.
Yeah, Volcel. For
I
sure.
agree.
Dude stands under like a waterfall 10 hours a day.
The waterfall,
Discipline,
you
like-
can
That is
see it.
Volcel behavior.
Yeah.
The waterfall is just hitting him right in the dick.
Who is who's the little guy who's always following him around though?
Chatsu.
Chaozu.
You found him in the Philippines. Did you ever notice how Goku Black dials the phone like this, but standard Goku dials the phone like this? With the second this capitalized. Did you?
Indeed I have.
Okay.
It do be like that.
How do we feel about Super Shenron? How do you power creep a show so hard that you have to power creep the all-powerful wish-granting dragon? Yeah, I don't know. I like him. I like that he's an even bigger dragon.
I like a big dragon.
Does anyone not like the big dragon?
I mean, I like Shenron's design better, to be honest.
Yeah.
This one's surrounded by galaxies.
But I ain't got no problem with that big ass dragon.
Yeah, he's all right.
He's fine.
Big dragons. That's
And I
a
get
yes.
the feeling we're going to be seeing less of regular Shenron going forward, so we kind of just have to deal with this.
Okay, these were all great questions. I hope they lead you to insightful conversation. I'll listen to it. Chris from LA, in parentheses, Alex's brother.
All right, great emails, everybody. If you want to write us an email, it's ballingoutsuper@gmail.com. All right, plugs, Alex.
Come to my grandma's 80th birthday party. She's an old English teacher, so it will be a lot of fun. And then in addition, please come to my weekly comedy show on Sundays at Sing Sing on Ave A and 5th. It's called Bad News. It's a comedy show. We write the news jokes and then stand up.
It's fun.
It's really
fun.
good. Katie's on it soon, and Jeremy already did it. And Will's not booked because he's not a comedian.
Wow, comedy adjacent. I think.
And now modern satirist Will
Katie, what do you got?
Oh, you can follow me on Twitter at Katie Rose or on Instagram at hello Katie Rose. You know what? It's that time again. It's time to listen to the podcast based on the internet TV show 2 Minutes Late Night. We got a new one. Jeremy loves editing it so much.
because he doesn't.
This week we listened to Guns N' Roses' Dutch Oven of a 10-year album. Fucking Chinese Democracy. It's fine. We have a lot of fun.
Good episode.
Number one podcast I am not on.
Will, what do you got?
I already did it once before. I'll do it again. The Chapo Guide to Revolution in stores August 21st. Buy now.
Wish granted.
Yeah.
And you can find me on Twitter at Jeremy Thunder. And we have the Hard Times Live show coming back to Center Trap on June 1st. It's going to be really good. And check out Pod Minutes to Cast Night. It's a good podcast with a bad name.
I like the name. It's good.
All right, that's it for this week. Join us next week.
Super!